places, or names, places, or lists for are used for fictional or speculative. Any opinions expressed by guests are their own. Do not reflect those of Cosmic Crumbs. Do not reflect those. No guarantees are made regarding the act. No guarantees are made regarding the act. We are not responsible for how this content. We are not responsible for how this content. This show contains vulgar language. This show contains vulgar language. Viewer discretion is advised. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up, Cosmic Crumbs fans? Maybe I don't have any fans. What's up, people? Welcome to the third official episode of the CCP, the Cosmic Crumbs podcast. I'm your host. Hey, Crystal, you reminded me to turn on the chat for everybody. Let's see. Well, thank you, Crystal. Okay, I made the chat big. Cool. Well, welcome. This week, we are going back in. We're doing food. We're doing some recipes. We're gonna talk about some weird stuff. I have some very strange user-submitted stuff that you all might be interested in this week. And I realized that I don't have to say for audio only listeners anymore because I can upload videos to Spotify, which is crazy. I'm going to have to tell Cecil about that if he doesn't already know. Okay. Well, since you're listening, Cecil, we don't have to say for audio only anymore because you can just upload the video to Spotify. People can see it. So just to jump right into it, we last week were talking about vanilla bean paste, which is why I have this picture up. And we had a user submission for said vanilla bean paste. It was Morgana that submitted this one, and it says, here's everything that you need to know to make homemade vanilla bean paste. It's the perfect way to level up baking and so much cheaper than buying vanilla bean paste. And it's super easy. This apparently she put 2.5 servings, 5 minutes preparation time, and the ingredients are, you need 2 ounces or about 23 whole vanilla bean pods. She prefers the beans from Madagascar, 1 cup granulated sugar or 200 grams, 3/4 cup 80 proof vodka or bourbon, 1/3 cup water, 2 tablespoons light corn syrup, 1/4 teaspoon xanthan gum, which helps, I guess, thicken the mixture and give it like this texture. And you can kind of see, like, even in the texture, it's basically just a bunch of vanilla beans mixed up. But it says that you start out by setting out your containers. She uses airtight 8-ounce glass containers. The number of containers you need might vary based on the size of them. One batch makes a little over 2.5 cups of vanilla bean paste, but you cut your 60 grams of vanilla bean pods into thirds and place them inside a high power blender. It might seem silly to cut the beans beforehand, but if you've ever cut a vanilla bean, it's got all the goodness inside of there that even if you're making vanilla extract, you scrape them out, you get all the goodness in whatever you put them in. I personally prefer bourbon to make vanilla extract, not vanilla paste. I haven't ever tried it, but vanilla extract is 40 times easier to make than this paste, and this paste is easy to make. And I'll tell you a little bit about that afterwards, but she says cutting them helps break down more easily, and if you don't, you end up with chunks as well. But then you add in your 1/3 cup water, 1 cup granulated sugar, 3/4 cup of vodka, rum, or bourbon, 2 tablespoons light corn syrup, all into the blender with the vanilla bean pods after you've blended them up. And the note here is to wait. If you're going to add the xanthan gum add it a little bit later after you've blended everything up really nice. All the xanthan gum is going to do is give it this sort of super pasty hold that you see here in the picture. Hey, Landa, welcome. I was just saying that we had a user submitted recipe by Morgana for the vanilla bean paste that we were talking about last week. So that's the paste recipe. What I'll add onto this is if you don't want to buy the vanilla extract in the store, you can easily make your own vanilla extract, and it's 400 times better than the kind you can get in the store. The only thing it takes is a lot of time, because the longer you let it go, the better vanilla flavor you're going to get out of your extract. Now, the best way that I've found is to pick a bourbon or vodka. If you want a really, really neutral vanilla extract, do vodka. A lot of the TikTok videos and this and that are going to tell you to use vodka. I prefer something different. And depending on what you're baking, you might too. This should last, because it's alcohol based. It should last until it just is too hard to use, I would imagine. But and the vanilla extract is the same way. So you pick your bourbon or vodka or rum for that matter. I do half gallons, and I'll get 2 packs of these vanilla beans. And what I like to do is split them long ways first and then chop them in half. And sometimes I'll even scrape the insides of the vanilla bean directly into the alcohol. But you put at least, two good packs of your vanilla beans in straight into the bottle. You may have to dump some of the bourbon out or drink it if that's how you roll. You put it all in there and you shake it up and set it and forget it. This needs to go at least 6 months before you use it, preferably 1 year. And the longer you can let it go and diffuse in the alcohol, the stronger and better your vanilla extract's going to be. And the more powerful it's going to be in the recipes that you use it in. So just keep all of that in mind. Vanilla is power. It can be powerful, especially if you use more than 2 packs of the vanilla beans when you're making it. But yeah, I've had a few different batches going over the last 6-7 years. I've currently got a batch going in bullet bourbon, and I think this one is my favorite so far. Yeah. Okay. Morgana's on Facebook. I don't know if you see her comment, Crystal, but she says that she has vanilla extract. Morgana, if you can answer this, how long are you keeping your vanilla paste when you make it? Because Morgana is the one who submitted the recipe. And while Morgana's answering that, this is a good spot to say, if you don't already follow the channel and you're out there listening, give us a follow and hit the link tree. There's places to submit recipes of your own, places to submit stories, anything strange really. And maybe most importantly of all, I created a spam mail list. What good would the CCP be without a list of people? So every week after the show, anybody that signed up for the spam mail list is going to get all the recipes that were submitted the week before, and they're going to get all the videos that I play if we watch recipe videos, and anything else that we might find interesting or that you guys want. Okay, Morgana. I was saying before you jumped on, so if you like a very neutral extract, vodka's the way to go. if you want a super deep flavor in your baking, bourbon seems to retain a lot more depth. Plus, you get sort of an extra nuttiness from the bourbon itself. Um, but yeah, if you haven't signed up for the mailer, go sign up for the mailer. Hit the link tree, throw your email in there, and after the show, I think before the show, only 2 people had signed up for the spam mail. So if you haven't, go sign up for it. Morgana, I have your email already, so you don't have to sign up. Just because I email you every day anyway. So you automatically made the list. Don't give me a hard time, Landa. I'm talking about food here. So the next user submission. So I was on Twitter this week talking to some people, socializing. I try to get on there a couple times a week and just check in with different Bigfoot, cryptid, UFO people, make some new friends to kind of have on the shows. And we're just a part of the community, so we go forth and talk to weird people pretty frequently. And this week I met someone on Twitter who he's saying he's having a lot of experiences going on in his household, or around his household, I should say. And I will read you what he said, and I'll give him credit. If you want to check out his Twitter, I'm just going to refer to him as Julian, but his handle is HIOUPY Julian on Twitter. And he does post some interesting stuff. He posted some old world stuff that I thought was cool. Definitely in the same sort of mindset and space as all of us. I'm just assuming if you're listening to this, you're down with the clown and or high strangeness. But with that said, I will actually read you his story. So he sent me the text that says, so I see a lot of orbs, beings, and creatures around the house. It sounds fantastical, but I caught a being hovering above my house doing something with his hands. I got a pic of him sitting up on his roof. Later that night, just after 3, the family was awoken by several things jumping on the roof. I was too scared to climb the ladder up with them jumping, and it was not. But the next morning, I found a roof jack broken with a very weird no finger spay handprint. I'm the only one that can get up there. No raccoons or critters in the area. And he says that he has over 18,000 pictures of just strange stuff happening around his house. And he lives on the Arizona-Mexico border. So, right on the line, right in the heart of really like the high strangeness. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in that area, I think, anyway. But yeah. Let me get this pulled up, and let's see. I'll just move this out of the way for a second, and I believe I have it saved. Yeah. Whoop, whoop. Okay. So this is the first picture that Julian sent me, and it's very zoomed in. I've asked him for zoomed out pictures of all of this stuff too, just so you know. Just so that we can get perspective. Like, I want to see, zoomed out. I want to see the roof. I want to see the surrounding area, just so we can kind of get some perspective. But what he is claiming is going on here, what he thought he saw is, imagine these are legs. There's an arm. There's an arm coming up behind one of the legs. and then, whatever's going on up here. I don't know if he meant that this was the head or whether, this greater area was the head or something going on. Now, this is the handprint that he found the next morning that he sent. Again, I want to see some just zoomed out, maybe panoramic pictures of the area without like doxing him, that we can share and kind of talk about. But then we get into some weird sort of bizarre light or being situations. These are some of the other pictures that he's sending me. Again, sort of figure like though. Like you can kind of see arm and a bulky body. This one's a little bit more obscure. Then we get into some straight up orb situations where it looks like you might be able to see a figure within the orb. This one's weird. The inside of this one is weird. It just, I don't know. That looks like more than just pixelation to me. I don't know if I can make it any bigger without messing it up now. I mean, it could be pixelation, but, and then, yeah, it does kind of look like someone dancing. Then just a couple more. Again, I think that these are zoomed in. I really want to see them zoomed out. And, just to see what they look like. But yeah, first user submission, got some weird pictures. And if Julian really does have 18,000 pictures, this is going to be an ongoing saga that we will follow. And once we get some pictures with some more perspective, we'll absolutely dive back into this. But yeah, every week we're starting out with user submitted stuff. Anything user submitted goes straight to the top. So if you got recipes, if you've got crazy stories, if something happens to you at the grocery store and you're like, this dude walked through a wall or, walked into the bread aisle with no pants, submit your story. And that'll be the first thing I hit every week. Anything user submitted takes precedence. But we're moseying on. I've got loaded up on recipes videos that I'm going to send out after we get done. There was one conspiratorial though food video that I brought. Should we watch it first or should we watch it last? Because it might make people sick who eat fish. I'll probably watch it last because this first recipe is a fish recipe. We'll wait until we're done with the videos before get into maybe the sickening stuff. I don't know if this is going to look weird oh yeah, it is. Okay.
Summer saucier at a restaurant, the most popular sauce on Valentine's Day service was a beurre blanc. It is a white wine butter cream sauce that is perfect with seafood, but honestly, you can make it at home and here's how you do it.
Do y'all eat scallops? Or do you cook on stainless steel? I get intimidated with stainless steel, but maybe I shouldn't be if you guys are doing it.
I always recommend using the same pan you cook your fish or protein in to add flavor to the sauce. So cook your protein first and then go in with butter over medium heat and add a minced shallot. Salt and stir for around 3 minutes to cook through, and you'll know they're done when they're a little bit translucent. And then deglaze the pan with white wine. As it stirs, scrape the bottom, which lifts up the fond, which is the brown stuff from the scallops. That flavors the sauce and is amazing. Once the wine volume is reduced by half, stir in the heavy cream. Bring that up to a simmer, season with salt, and stir in fresh lemon juice. Then the most important part of this recipe is reducing until the liquid is very thick. Still too liquidy here, but here is perfect. Turn off the heat and stir in cold butter. The more cold butter you stir in, the thicker it will get, so add until desired thickness is reached. The final step is passing through a fine mesh strainer to make smooth, and then you have a restaurant quality beurre blanc that is perfect for Valentine's Day. Go to my website.
No, I mean, it looks good. I would give it a run, but I don't know if I've ever eaten scallops or not. I mean, I know what scallops are, obviously, but I don't know that I've ever actually had them. It looks good. Um, and the sauce, I mean, the sauce is pretty basic. I don't know if you've ever had a white wine heavy cream sauce, but if you've had one, you pretty much had them all. Especially with like, anything that's got shallots overpowering everything. I got you. Yeah, well, yeah, Morgana, I agree. Morgana said that likes a good beurre blanc, but don't generally strain it. It seems like you'd get rid of some of the goodness you got in there, um like the shallot itself, I guess. Um okay. If you don't eat them quick, they get rubbery. Yeah, I don't know. You guys aren't selling this very well. You aren't selling it very well. This might be the recipe of the week, what I'm about to play. And I don't even like sweets. If you all have been around me enough, I'm not a big sweets person, but this looks absolutely amazing. Like I'm ready to be 400 pounds. Check this out.
Welcome back to TikTok Culinary School. Today we are making cinnamon roll pancakes. I don't really like cinnamon rolls. I don't really like pancakes. These are better than both of those. And I also think they're the perfect thing to wake your Valentine up to on February 14th. So let's get started. We're gonna mix together 3 concoctions. The first one is the pancake batter. Then we've got the icing and of course the cinnamon swirl. All of the measurements for these are gonna be in the description. We're gonna start off by cooking just like a normal pancake. Ladle in on your best nonstick pan and then pour a little bit of your cinnamon sugar blend into a Ziploc bag, cut off the tip, and then use that to pipe on a swirl. Don't be too precious about it. You want these to look artisanal. Now, depending on your pan and how hot your burner gets, you might want to either flip the pancake to cook the top or just steam it with the lid on. Either one is totally valid. Experiment with both, see which one works best for you. And once you're done with your beautiful batch of pancakes, stack them up, and we are going to drizzle that icing all over it. I used a cream cheese icing here. You can also just do like powdered sugar and butter, whatever you want. Welcome back to TikTok Culinary School.
Absolutely insane. That looks absolutely nuts. And I don't even like sweets. Are you talking about a cream cheese, like a cheesecake drizzle on that? Absolutely insane. I don't even know where to start with that, but that's Chef Ames on TikTok. I forgot to give credit to the last one. This was an instant follow for me. Obviously you can't see it on here because this isn't my scrolling TikTok, but the red velvet pancakes sound good too. I'm not a big sweets person. Got to really be in the mood. But this looked nuts. Okay. This one is one that weirds me out. Have you seen the recipes where they put raw meat on a tortilla and throw them on a black stone or something? It really freaks me out that you're putting raw meat on a tortilla. I guess it's cooking, and I guess it's cooking the tortilla, cooking all the bacteria out. It just freaks me out for some reason. It really freaks me out when people do that, but he's about to do it is why I'm saying that. Check this out, though. The end result does look good.
This was the #1 recipe from Caesar Salad Monthly magazine. And if you don't have a subscription, I highly recommend getting one. But seriously, I've been making this recipe a lot lately, and I had to share it with you because I'm just that kind of guy. You just start out with some lean ground chicken, egg, Parmesan, and some Cajun seasoning. Mix it all up and slap it on a low-carb pita. Then I just hit it with a little more Cajun and Parmesan, then just sear it off in a pan for...
That's the part that weirds me out. You got raw meat already on your tortilla, or pita in this case.
3 to 5 minutes per side. I'm trying to keep this as high protein and low cal as possible, so I use low carb pitas and light Caesar dressing, along with a little bit of sun-dried tomato and crispy bacon. Let me know if this is something you would try. Follow me for more deliciousness. See ya! This was the #1 recipe from Caesar.
The end result does look good, but I would be so paranoid that I didn't get the pan hot enough to cook that meat all the way through the tortilla or pita. Pita's thicker than the tortilla. So even though it looks good, I would not try to make these myself, but wanted to include it in case you are. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why not just put it on there after it's cooked? It's like it's almost like a gimmick. Like you got they want that sear on the whole thing and not just like ground up, I guess. I don't know. But for me, it's a no. I wanted to throw it in here for anybody who's being health conscious though. We got a couple more.
TikTok Culinary School. Today we are making the soup so good it can cure any sickness.
I don't even like soup. You know what? I love food. I'm saying a lot of things that I don't like and makes me weird, but I normally would not make a soup. I would try this, and because it's more like a slop than a soup, and I'm a big fan of slop.
Italian penicillin. This soup is like if butter noodles, chicken noodle soup, and an immunity shot had a baby, and I am obsessed with it. Start with a rough chop of some celery, some carrot, yellow onion, and garlic. Now toss those veggies into
It doesn't
a
look
soup pot,
like soup.
cover with chicken stock, and then add rosemary, thyme, and a bay leaf if you want to be extra. Let that all simmer until everything is tender, then remove all those herbs and blend those veggies, adding them back into the broth. You get this really creamy soup base. It's oh my god, to die for. And then we're gonna boil some pastina, which is just like these little star-shaped noodles. You should be able to find them right by the orzo in your grocery store. And to that, we're gonna add butter, salt, pepper, and some Parmesan. Then pour over your soup broth and enjoy. Welcome back to TikTok Culinary School. Today we are.
It looks good. I mean, imagine putting some chicken in that. That would be killer. I think that's a try for me. This next one is probably a pass for me, but again, for anybody that's doing health conscious stuff, this lady's making bread out of egg whites and it looks like a mushroom. Not for me, but for anybody tracking your calories and stuff.
You want to bury your ass in some sweets. You can eat this entire thing. I'm going to show you how I make this and what I put on top. Get your mixer, your beaters, egg whites going in. We're gonna beat it up till it forms stiff peaks, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Looks pretty stiff to me. Now I'm gonna fold in half a teaspoon of cornstarch. I'm gonna hit that cinnamon from the back, just like she likes it. And I'm gonna sweeten it with my monk fruit drops. Use any natural sweetener you want. It doesn't have to be liquid. And I'm just gonna fold that in. Baking dish, some parchment paper. We're gonna dump her right in. So it's an omelet. You know what? Craig loves hockey 465. You're a f***ing omelet. Go make somebody else miserable. And yes, this mixture, raw egg white, so good. Into the oven at 400, 10-15 minutes until the top is nice and golden. Yep. Who's your daddy? Thanks. Yeah, just dessert for one. Thanks. Number 1, this on its own, it's like a fluffy bodybuilder's cotton candy. I don't know how to explain it. Now here's where you get to be the pilot. The world is your oyster here, Susan. But today we're doing it my way. Little bit of butter, little bit of honey. I like this one from Costco. Heat it 2 seconds. It smells like sex. Even with this butter and honey, this is the lowest calorie, biggest dessert I've ever made. It's a massive honey butter cloud. Berries, chocolate chips, maple syrup, 200 calories, and I get to eat like an asshole? Sign me up. This should be illegal. Oh my God. The honey and the butter. Do it. Do it. I've made this all week, and let me tell you.
I've seen enough. That one's a no for me. I don't know if you like bread that looks like mushrooms. That's probably a good one for you. I don't know, Crystal. Would you give that a run? I don't know if I would. I definitely ain't giving that a run. I know myself. I ain't gonna do it. This, however, I definitely would smash. It does look like a marshmallow, Morgana. You're absolutely correct. But this is one pot dumplings, and this looks good to me. I may give this a run at some point. May do it a little bit different, but Check this out.
Dumpling that doesn't require folding is a game changer. It's juicy, super flavorful, and ridiculously easy. You only need a one pan to make this whole thing, and here's how. Start by any pan. I like cast iron because it makes the dumpling extra crispy. You're going to mix the fillings, which is minced pork and a vegetable of your choice. Add in the seasonings and soak up some Sichuan peppercorn with ginger. Let it sit while you mix the meat. Halfway through, sift out the water and give it another quick mix until the water gets fully absorbed into the meat just like this, and you're ready to shape into balls. Here you can use dumpling wrappers or wonton wrappers. I have some wonton wrappers left. Drizzle in some oil before you pan fry it and let the bottom crisp up. Then add water in 3 rounds, about 1/3 of a cup each time. Let it fully absorb before adding more. And here you go. This one pot dumpling that doesn't require folding.
That looks pretty easy. And when she pulled it out of there at the beginning, the bottoms are super crispy. I think that's a smash for sure. So I'll be sending that out too. I like dumplings. I'm a big fan of slop, big fan of, anything wrapped up, burritos, quesadillas. So this is definitely a smash for me. And then the one conspiratorial video that I brought that's related to fish, anybody that loves sushi like me, this is bad. This is really bad. But check this out. The bottom looked crispy to me. It wasn't like burnt. It wasn't, I don't know. I'd give it a run. Imagine those in like maybe not to eat alone, but imagine those in like rice or, something layered in. I'd make it up, make a burrito with the dumplings in it. This is not good. You guys aren't going to like this. I didn't like it, but I feel like people should see it.
Get a bunch of frozen ahi and they trick everybody into thinking it's beautiful, fresh ahi. So what they do is they get this rotten tuna, feed it into this red chemical dye, which turns it from the brown, poopy color that you see into a bright red color that never goes away. So even if the fish is completely rotten, it'll still look completely fresh because they're injecting this dye, soaking it in this dye to give it the illusion of being fresh ahi. And they're going to inject carbon monoxide gas into the bags and then let the fish marinate in that carbon monoxide gas so it soaks all the way through it. Keeps the fish from smelling or tasting rotten to the extent it can get so rotten that people can actually die and never have tasted or smelled that it's bad, because the carbon monoxide prevents that from happening. When restaurants or grocery stores turn this into value-added products, so sushi or poke, they do not have to label that this is the type of fish they're using. They can just say fresh made. Get a bunch of frozen ahi.
That's terrifying. And I'm sure they do that to salmon too. What's up, Carrie? Thanks for jumping on. We're just looking at some recipes. I told the crew earlier, if you haven't already subscribed to my spam mail, I don't know what we should call it. Spam mail club. If you haven't subscribed, hit the link tree and throw your email in on the third link. And after the show, every week, I'm going to send out all the new recipes, all the videos that we watch so that you can get to them. And like Morgana submitted the recipe for vanilla paste, and that's going to be going out to everybody this week. But yeah. They say they do it to hamburger because people don't find gray meat appetizing, and that's just sort of the natural state of meat in a lot of ways. But the carbon monoxide thing where they can make it not ever smell bad or taste bad, and to the point where like it could literally be bad enough to kill you and you can't tell that it's smelling bad. That's a no bueno for me. It just makes me more paranoid to get, our Kroger has sushi, and I'm being honest, I've had it before. It's not horrible, but it just weirds me out. Cows are expensive. Cows are very expensive compared to what they used to be. So I think like just hone in on what you eat the most. And if you don't want to buy or fork out the money for a whole cow, maybe just A lot of farms like that will just sell burger. Like we use burger mainly for most of our beef dishes, unless we're having a good steak. You got to splurge on a good steak every now and again, but even buying only your burger locally, if you eat a lot of beef, it makes a huge difference. Okay. Well, we're 35 minutes in and it's time to talk about some weird stuff. I did not bring, Morgana sent me an X-rated Reddit thread to read this week, and I just don't think I can do it. But Morgana, if you want to send that to everybody in the chat, feel free. What I did bring is some weird stories that we're gonna read. Let's get into it. So this thread is, what are some of the most eerie and unexplained mysteries that you have experienced in your life? Yeah, we could do the cosmic cravings spam mail list. That's what, because I gotta put it up front. Unknowingly, I named this podcast because well, first of all, the name that I had originally chosen was getting the social media blacked out already because it had conspiracy in the name. And actually, when I send out the spam mail every week, it'll be from the email that I created everything with and the original name. So I was looking for names. I did the Cosmic Crumbs and without unknowingly created the Cosmic Crumbs podcast, or the CCP, which may not be the best acronym, but we're going to take it back. So, it could be the Cosmic Cravings spam mail list brought to you by the CCP. But yeah, go to the link tree, throw your email in there. And then after the show, I'm going to be sending out recipes and videos. All the videos we watch are going to come to you, just so that you can reference them, save them, whatever you want to do. If you don't have TikTok, I'm sorry, we're the CCP. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Morgana put subreddit in the chat there. That is the one that I can't read. So if you want to go read it yourself, it's something. Okay. So what are some of the most eerie and unexplained mysteries that you have ever experienced in your whole life? And I'm just going to start at the top. I'm not the kind of person to have a great many friends, but those friends I do keep are sacred to me. So one evening I was getting out of the Rotterdam subway to go to my apartment near there when I see an old friend, one I haven't seen in the flesh in a few years, heading into the subway. I call out his name. He turns and waves and makes a call me gesture. Then the doors close and the subway rides off. 30 seconds later, my phone rings. It was my friend who told me he had just seen me get in the normal train he'd used to take to get home from the bar. Apparently, I had grinned, waved, and gestured, call me. The door shut and the train drove off. I lived in Rotterdam. He lived in, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but it's 125 miles apart. It's kind of nuts. That's almost like a glitch in the Matrix story, which is crazy. The next story, my mom had me picking potatoes one day. Hugely arduous task. Filled one basket, went to fill the other one, and found it already filled. It was just me. My sister was feeding the animals, and my mom and dad were at work. Simple and unexplained. Not the first unexplained that happened in that house, but it was the most memorable for me. That's a rough one. Glitch in the Matrix, I fully believe in. They say as far as quantum physics go, there's a chance that one day you're going to be doing your laundry and open up your dryer and everything is going to be folded perfectly. because, on a quantum scale, there's a chance of anything. There's a chance that you go to grab the doorknob one day and that your molecules are just the right wavelength that your hand's going to pass through the doorknob. There's a video of a lady, a very famous video now, just a year or two ago. She's working at a restaurant. You can see her clearly cut a lemon in half. She's quartered lemons, which is very common in the restaurant space. So she quarters the lemon, turns around, does a couple other things, comes back to the lemon and raises it up to the camera after you just saw it like fall apart. It like fell over and then just kind of leaned back over on itself. And she picks it up and the lemon had not been cut. So there's been a ton of glitch in the Matrix stories like that, and even some visible that you can see. So I fully believe it. I don't know about you guys, which I'm prone, to believe in the weird stuff. Maybe to a fault. I'll be the first to admit, we were just talking about being of light jumping on somebody's roof. So this person says, I've got a couple. When I was 10 or 12, a neighborhood buddy and I were camping in the woods. In reality, we were a couple acres behind his house in some forest that backed up to a state park, but that was about as close to camping as I was comfortable with. We had one of his family dogs with us, a beautiful and protective mutt named Abby. She was the type to startle easy. In the middle of the night, we started hearing movement in the forest, and Abby started growling and sniffing the air. Probably a deer, we assumed, until we unzipped one of the windows in the tent a little bit to look outside and clearly saw a human figure in the moonlight. It seemed to be standing, it seemed to be standing by a tree just watching us. We kind of spooked ourselves and decided to quietly get our shoes on and bolt back to this place and abandon the camp for the night. As soon as we opened the tent, Abby bolted at the figure who took off into the night, but she eventually made it back by morning. The other one is much shorter. This is a twofer. The first story, though, that could have just been a straight up person. I've seen so many videos on YouTube and stuff where it's like most terrifying encounters while camping where, there are people just out in the middle of nowhere. Even the most remote places possible. I saw one where this dude was hours and hours and hours out into the middle of nowhere and starts getting approached by somebody with a flashlight in the middle of the night and had to hike back out. So that one is strange, but it sounds way more plausible than my basket filled up itself full of potatoes. But this next one, he or she says is a bit more strange. I grew up in the South, and a lot of late summer, early fall nights, it will cool off and get really super foggy. I can attest to that. It does get really foggy in the South. My maternal grandfather turned his old family farm into a subdivision where I grew up, so he knew this area well. We were always warned about deer when we started driving because they were all over the damn place. I was around 17 or 18 and driving home one night in the fog. Fast and invincible as teenagers are, my grandfather had died a couple years earlier. And I swear I heard him say, "Turn your brats on," maybe more in my head than anything else. I was startled, but did as I was told, and there was a group of deer crossing the road that I never would have seen otherwise. I didn't say anything about it to anybody. The next morning, outside my bedroom door, my mom had put a pack of those deer whistlers that you put on the front bumper to scare deer off, because my mom had a dream where my grandpa told her to buy me some, and that one still comes up in conversation 15 years later. W. Grandpa. for coming back and warning both his grandchild and daughter, doing deer safety. W. Grandpa. Let's see. I'm just going to keep going down. You know, we're going to do the user submitted stories. And when we get done with user submitted stories and the videos, I'm just going to pick a different thread every week. Or, you know, maybe we'll go UFO hunting, get into some weird stuff. But this next story, still to this day, I have no idea what went down here. It says, about a year ago, I was sitting at home watching a movie and noticed out onto the backyard patio a man looking straight up in the air. This sounds kind of like the other story. As high as his head would go, almost looking backwards. Scared the living shit out of me. Person was still as a board. This reminds me also, if you've seen those Skinwalker videos, where there's the one where the dude's on the horse and he pans out and it's like twilight. And off into the distance, you see a figure that's standing there like that with its head all the way up. And it just screams, "Help me." That's what this reminds me of. But he said that he was dressed in very nice clothes through a royal blue suit with brown shoes that didn't really fit the scene. I grabbed my cell phone and watched him for a minute to see what he was doing before I'd call the police. Out of nowhere, he shook his head almost out of a trance and looked around to see where he was. He took his cell phone out and started making a call. At that point, I opened the sliding door with the screen still being shut and asked if he was okay. He sounded very frantic and said he doesn't know how he got there. I told him where he was, and apparently he lived a few streets over, walked out the side gate after apologizing profusely. I've seen him a few times in passing, and he seemed extremely normal. Drives a Porsche Cayenne. No idea what that was about. There could be some plausible explanations for that too, though. Like, yeah, people automatically jump to like possession or, you know, aliens, something like that. But I've also seen people who are addicted to substances act this way too. And you know, if he's driving a Porsche, maybe he's got a little bit of extra money to burn on some vices or something. But yeah, well, and there's a comment under this that says, honestly, it sounds like an absence seizure. I didn't even know that was a thing, but that sounds crazy. Let's see. Buddy of mine had an absence seizure while driving. He drove an hour and a half past the highway exit he was supposed to get off at and came to at a gas station while pumping gas. I didn't even know those kind of seizures were a thing, like where people just lose time like that. I don't know. I feel like if you're like blacking out and waking up in places, you probably shouldn't be driving like that. I don't know. That's kind of nuts. I mean, I guess if you're being safe. Sorry, I had to get a drink. So the next story is, I remember one thing that genuinely freaked me out when I was 12. I had awoken and gone to the kitchen to fix myself some breakfast, but when I got there, I heard my dad snoring coming from the couch in the living room. I thought it was strange for him to be sleeping since it was 10 and he typically woke up early, but maybe he was taking a nap. As I'm walking toward there, the snoring keeps on getting louder and louder to the point where it sounded exaggerated. Just as I pop my head over the couch to say hi, the sound stops. There's actually nobody on the couch. I call out to my family. Nobody answers. They'd gone to get lunch, and I can't explain it to this day. There's a deleted user under this that says, I had a similar experience. I was very little around 6 to 8 years old, and I was sleeping in my bedroom. My parents and I slept in the same bedroom, but in different beds. All of a sudden, I wake up and hear snoring coming from my parents' bed, At first I thought, no problem. It's just my dad. Then I hear my mom in the kitchen having a conversation with someone. When I listened closer, I realized she was talking with my dad. Looked at the other bed and there was no one there, and the snoring also immediately stopped. I wasn't scared though. How did that not freak me out? So yeah, that's a kind of a weird one. But I'm almost wondering if that could be like, I'm trying to debunk all these. Like it could be, you know, when you're on the edge of sleep or you're just waking up. I've definitely had experiences where you hear stuff, or, you know, I've heard noises, and then you wake up a little bit more and the noise ain't there anymore. That kind of thing. But that was a weird one. Most of these are pretty short, which I'm a fan of because we can get through a bunch of them. The next one, I was napping shortly after my son was born, and I dreamt that my husband came in and told me my father had passed away. I woke up suddenly and just had a bad feeling from it. I tried to shake it off and just laid there for a moment. A few minutes later, my husband did come in the room and told me my father had a heart attack and died at work. This was the worst feeling in the world, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So she had a premonition that her father had passed away, which is nuts. That would be terrible. Do y'all believe in psychics? I know some people's answers. I've obviously talked to a bunch of psychics, talked to a bunch of mediums. I don't know. Like some of them I do and some of them I don't. We've had this conversation on Wearing the Fog a little bit. But I think in this case, like if you're dreaming about somebody passing away before they actually pass away, you might be an empath or a medium or a psychic or a combo. That's crazy. I think some people are a lot more connected to that kind of thing than others. So, and I would say if you're seeking out somebody like that, if you're interested in psychics and mediums and Reiki masters and death doulas and all of the above, definitely feel out the person that you're going to rely on for that kind of thing. You know, there's legit people, and then there's people where you're just like it kind of feels like mentalism. If you don't know what that is, look it up. But if you got somebody that's asking you a ton of questions and any of their answers could be a derivative of those questions, then you may not be in business with a legitimate person of the spiritual world that claims to be able to do these things. Morgana says that she dreamed of her father passing several months before he passed. Landa doesn't trust people, would have to personally know them to believe them. I may not have to personally know them, but I'm going to need like a cold, very cold reading where I don't give any information. You just feel what you feel. Give me your interpretation that ain't just some generalized stuff that could apply to anybody. And then I might believe enough to continue the conversation. It really takes a lot though. I've just been so saturated in that stuff, you know, especially some of my greatest friends, like I fully believe have abilities. Yeah. You will meet a stranger. Like if you're getting advice like that, get out of here all the way. But you know, I've got friends who I think have abilities, and we've really been down that rabbit hole with a lot of people. We've talked to multiple psychics, multiple Reiki masters, you know, just tons of spiritualists over the years. And some of them I feel like are legit. And some of them I'm just like, you know, they ain't got it like that. You know, they may have a touch of something like the tism, but they don't have the spiritual aptitude to, you know, reach from beyond or whatever to give you information. That's just my take. that may be a loser's mentality when it comes to psychics and mediums, but I just want everybody to be careful if you're trusting people with, especially if you're paying people. This stuff ain't cheap. Psychics and mediums and death doulas and Reiki masters and shamans and, lions and tigers and bears, they're all going to charge like $100 an hour minimum and like $50 for a half hour. So if you're going to spend your hard-earned money for spiritual guidance, if they make you book with them before you get to like consult, that's a red flag. But really talk to these people, get a feel for them. And if they can give you anything tangible without leading you, that's somebody that you can explore further with. But if at any point in time you're like, whoa, like I definitely told them that, or more importantly, if they can get to your social media, that's a big red flag. I never think about that because I don't really have social media. People, especially like these sorts of predatory folks, not all of them. I'm not putting them all in there, but some of them definitely are predatory. If they are predatory, they will totally know how to basically bounty hunt you. They will be able to find your family, your friends, what's going on in your life. Have you had any trauma? Go back through your Facebook history, your Instagram history, figure out when life events happened for you. If you are the type of person to post your mood on Facebook, they will pick up on all of that stuff and put together a chronology to, be psychic presenting. So just be very careful. If you're seeking out advice that's spiritual, my recommendation would be to just make really good friends. Go to, if there's any sort of conventions or meetups, spiritual conventions, go make some friends, talk to people, touch grass, and, figure out what you believe for yourself. Don't blindly believe anybody, because everybody's vulnerable now in a day and age of discovery. Like you can find anything out about anybody if they're on social media. Yeah, well, Landa, if you're interested in that, you can also submit it anonymously, and I ain't got to say anything. That might be the play. Morgana says the last person who read her told her all about my death by my real life brother on the frontiers of the American West in the 1700s. I had on moccasins and turquoise, jaded the hell out of me for life. That's what I'm saying. Not everybody's batting 1,000 that does this kind of thing. Use common sense if you're seeking out spiritual advice like psychics, shamans, death doulas, empaths, any of the stuff. Like it's very easy to get duped in this day and age, where if you're posting anything about your feelings on the internet, I would argue that the general public probably doesn't need to know that. But B, if you are doing that, it's going to be very easy for a psychic, or somebody who's looking to make money to figure out stuff about you where you're like, oh my God, they knew that I broke up with my girlfriend last week and called her names or whatever. I don't know. I'm being dumb. We'll hit one more story. I used to work in a crisis shelter when I was in my early 20s. We had a small walk-in room with a solid lock on, small walk-in room with a solid lock on it to store anything that could be misused by the residents, such as medications, cleaning chemicals, kitchen knives, etc. One night, the residents had settled in to watch TV while I completed some paperwork, and the door to the medication storage room swung open by itself. I thought perhaps it had not caught properly last time I closed it. So I just pulled it shut and thought nothing more of it for the next few minutes. Then it swung open again. I pulled the door shut and this time jiggled the handle several times to make sure that it had caught, and got one of the residents to also test it. It was definitely locked solid. A few minutes later, it swung open again. Wanted to nope out of there, but was stuck on a 12-hour sleepover shift. After that, it never happened again, but the residents spun a huge story about the ghost of someone who OD'd in the medication room, which became part of the shelter folklore. That's kind of bizarre. That's a bizarre story. I am more prone to believe like ghost stories than I saw somebody outside of my tent, because you probably did. Like it's dangerous out there in the woods, especially if you're on property that you're not familiar with. But yeah, I think we're going to have to explore this thread some more. So we got down to macadamia cream. And this was, what are some of the most eerie and unexplained mysteries that you have experienced in your life? And for everybody out there listening, I don't claim to be the prettiest reader. I do have an accent. So if you want somebody with a beautiful voice, you're going to have to go somewhere else. I just ain't got it. But hopefully I can make it entertaining enough between the food and weird stories. We can keep it going. We've got a couple weeks left. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a guest. She is a Native American paranormal investigator. That's going to be cool. We're going to talk about what kind of foods they make in her area. So hopefully we'll get to talk about a bunch of food. Should try what? But anywho, if you're out there listening and it's your first time joining, we get the link tree below. It's Cosmic Crumbs with a 0 instead of an O. You can submit stories, recipes. You can sign up for the Cosmic Cravings spam mail list. And what that's going to do, it's going to get you all the recipes, and it's free. It's absolutely free. Just plop your email in there. And every week after the show, you're going to get the recipes that were watched video wise. You're going to get any new submissions for full recipes. And, you know, I'm just out here doing this for free. So no obligation. Go sign up for the spam mail list. Share your stories, share your recipes, and I will be back next week. Maybe if there's like quotation marks where it's like somebody talking, I'll try using an alternate voice for your entertainment, Landa. And then tomorrow evening, Where in the Folk, which is a conspiracy, paranormal, true crime podcast. We're going to be talking about amazing animal abilities, and you can find Where in the Folk on Twitter and all the places. But yeah, thanks for joining, and I will see you next week.